Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to our first online model United Nations. We hope you guys are excited to participate this time. So before we get started with our debate and everything, I will explain the rules of procedures for everyone, just to be clear. If you have any questions when I finish talking about the rules of procedures, you can ask any questions you want. Okay, so how the MUN will go is first you will start with roll calls. So me and Gervin are going to be the chairs for this committee, and this is the WHO committee. And we will call each country, and you are delegates of each country. If you are present and if you're in this meeting, you have to say present or present and voting. Okay, so once we're done with the roll call, we're gonna go to the speakers list. So the chair will say the speakers list is open. And this speakers list is an opportunity for you to talk about your country and your stance about this issue. And delegates, if you would like to have the opportunity to talk in this speakers list, when the chairs ask, this speakers list is open, are there any delegates who would like to be on the speakers list? You will just have to raise your hands like this, and the chairs will write you down on the list, and when we call on you, you will have time to speak. In the speakers list, a delegate will only have time of 1 minute to just quickly state your stance. Okay, and just some general rules in an MUN meeting. We would advise for you not to say words like I and refer to yourself as, for example, if I'm the delegate of Indonesia, I'll refer to myself as the delegate of Indonesia. Okay, that's just some rules. Okay, so we are at the general speakers list, and once you guys are talking about your stances and what your countries are feeling, your country's stance is on the issue, you guys can start motions at any time of the debate. So there are two types of motions you can start. First is an important one, is called the moderated caucus. So if you would like to start a motion, once during the speakers list, you have to raise your hands and the chair will call on you, and you can say, the delegate would like to start a motion, start a moderated caucus. So in a moderated caucus, this is you will state specific topics that you would like to debate on regarding this bigger problem. For example, just an example, okay, the delegate of Indonesia would like to raise a motion on social assistance program. The speaker's time will be 2 minutes, and there will be a total time of 10 minutes. You can just say there's a speaker time of 2 minutes each. So each delegate will get to opportunity to talk for 2 minutes. So once everybody agrees that that we will have a moderated caucus, delegates who would like to speak for this moderated caucus can raise your hand, and that means you will talk about your country's stance on this specific issue. And this is where we expect debate to happen, and you guys to have find countries who have the same stance as you and countries who do not have the same stance as you. So this is the moderated caucus. The other type of caucus is called the unmoderated caucus. So a delegate, you can say, the delegate would like to raise a motion for an unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes. And this is basically informal debate. So you guys can talk to each other informally during that span of 15 minutes to discuss, if I was discuss with other countries about the solution. You also, near the end of the debate, any delegate can raise a motion to start an unmoderated caucus to write a resolution. So today, you're gonna work together on Google Docs, and you're going to write a resolution that all of you countries agree on how to tackle this issue. So that's basically all for the rules of procedures. I would like to remind you once again that the topic for this committee is for tackling underprivileged, deliberating upon a framework to provide relief to the underprivileged at the time of the global pandemic. So make sure you remember that you're supposed to come up with a resolution to tackle this problem by the end of this MUN meeting. That's all for the rules of procedures. Do you guys have any questions or any parts that you're confused in? You can just raise your hand and talk right now.
Yep, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask before the debate starts, so there's no confusion during the debate. Okay, just to summarize what Isabella said, the form of the MUN will go through. At first, we will open a speakers list. In this speakers list, you can enter by stating you want to enter the delegate of your country would like to speak in the speakers list. During the speakers list, you can raise motions for moderated and unmoderated caucus. And now what's the difference between the three? During the speakers list, you state what's the stance of your country. You say what your country thinks about the problem and what do you think should be the proposed solution. But during the moderated caucus, this is where like most of the debate occurs. This is where you will be like having like different opinions between different delegates, and this is where you debate. This is where you like mainly debate. During an unmoderated caucus, it's the same. You also debate, but the only difference is the unmoderated caucus is more like an informal debate. Yeah, you don't have this speaking time, you don't have this total time. You guys can just like in the meeting, me and Isabella will mute ourselves and you guys will debate amongst yourselves. Yeah, and the debate will end once the speakers list is completed. Once every country has spoken during their turn for the speakers list, the debate will end and one of the delegates will have to raise a motion for another unmoderated caucus to write their resolution. The resolution will be written in a Google Docs that we'll be providing you later on as we reach the end of the event, and there you'll be needed to write a resolution where countries will agree to the solution regarding the problem we already gave you. Yeah, and just as a general rule, everyone please open your camera. Yeah, show respect to the other delegates. And one thing I must emphasize is that when speaking, please refer to yourself as the delegate of your country. Do not say I, do not say you. And when other delegates are speaking, by no means are you allowed to interrupt them. They must finish and you can say something else. Yeah, and remember to always not to use pronouns, but always to refer to as the delegate of your country. Yep, that's it. Are there any further questions before we start?
Now, can we know the speakers list?
Yes, Natik, could you please say that again?
Can we know the speakers list?
I see. Okay, so Nitik, the speakers list will be compiled of people who, the countries who actually want to speak regarding the issue. So that will be decided later on. Like for example, Nitik, you're the delegate of your country, like, and during the speakers list, we will open the speakers list. Me and Isabella will open the speakers list. And if you would like to talk during this speakers list, then you will raise up your hand and you will say the delegate of your country would like to be added to the speakers list. Something like that. Yeah, so the speaker list is determined by whether or not you would want to speak during the speakers list, but we highly encourage everyone to speak. Yeah, so the debate will be fun. You guys will like learn something new as well. Yeah. Are there any other questions?
Okay, if there are no other questions, we will officially start our meeting with the roll call. So if I call your country, please mention present or present and voting. Indonesia, delegate of Indonesia.
Present.
Delegate of India. Delegate of Brazil.
Present and voting.
Delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Present.
Delegate of Spain. Delegate of the United States of America.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Nigeria.
Present.
Okay. Okay, so the chair is going to open the general speakers list. Delegates who would like to be on this speakers list, please raise your hands right now. Okay. Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you, delegates. Delegate of Indonesia, you may start your speech. You have a time limit of 1 minute. Thank you.
Honorable chairs, distinguished delegates. The world has been facing a pandemic since last December, and the number of people who are infected has been increasing ever since. There are already 1 million deaths around the world, and a lot of people who are vulnerable are suffering. Some do not have the privilege to get treatment or a proper living space to protect themselves. Thus, the pandemic continues. Indonesia is engaging in flattening the curve to slow down the number of infectants, giving the healthcare workers to treat the remaining people who got the coronavirus. And when the vaccine is made, it will be first given to the people who are vulnerable. Indonesia strengthening social and economic stability will also be helpful too when the pandemic ends. Indonesia will come out stronger than it used to be. Indonesia has been enforcing rules to slow the rate of infectants, such as social distancing policies. Indonesia encourages the citizens to follow what was told. Some of the rules include reducing the amount of time going out, closing markets at a certain time, prohibiting meetings and gatherings, etc. Online meetings are now used as the result of schools and workplaces due to closing due to safety reasons. They have also banned the traveling for major celebrations such as Eid al-Fitr. Indonesia believes that prioritizing the vulnerable would be the best solution as of right now. Indonesia acknowledges the severity of this pandemic and wishing to solve this pandemic by prioritizing also the livelihoods of the citizens with the economy, also focusing on life-saving and early recovery activities. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Before I continue, the chair would like to mention that before the time is up, the chair would mention it in the chat if you have 10 seconds left, just to keep us on time. Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Brazil, you may start now.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. The world is suffering through a global pandemic called the COVID-19, also known as coronavirus. The infection rate is increasing per day. On 25 February 2020, Brazil reported the first COVID-19 case brought by a man from Sao Paulo. Since then, the virus had spread through all Brazil states by 25 March 2020. As of September 2020, Brazil has the third highest number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the world, behind India and the United States. In many low-income countries, there are unfair or avoidable differences in health among different groups in society. Many of the poorer countries have been struggling to find food and water, essential things we need in our daily lives. Many people are unemployed due to the current situation. The Ministry of Health in Brazil is starting to boost on the production of hydroxychloroquine and encouraging doctors to prescribe it to patients with COVID-19. Brazil also builds hospitals and shelters for the people that have COVID-19 to prevent the spread of it. Brazil is also going on a lockdown, so to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Okay, thank you, Delegate. The chair will also like to state that the moderated and the unmoderated caucus will happen during the general speakers list. Like, for example, the delegate has just finished talking. Right now, all of the delegates in this committee is able to raise a motion for either a moderated or unmoderated caucus, because like just now what the chair said, the moderated and unmoderated caucus is where most of the debate will be happening, and the general speakers list is just for countries to state their stance. Yeah. So the chair highly encourages people to raise motions for moderated and unmoderated caucuses, and I would like to state for everyone to still open their camera. Yeah? Please open your webcams and yeah, respect other delegates. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Are there any motions for a moderated or unmoderated caucus as of now? Okay, we will continue with the general speakers list. Delegate of Republic of Congo, you may start now.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Madam Chairman. Today, as the representative of my country, Democratic Republic of Congo, and the topic today, assisting the unprivileged during the current pandemic. COVID-19 is a novel coronavirus which started from Wuhan province in China and was first recognized by the WHO on December. The first case of the very known virus, COVID-19 in Congo, occurred on March 10, 2020. The virus was brought by a Belgian man who stayed there for several days and also was quarantined when he was tested positive. At first, the health minister of Congo said there is no reason to panic. Everything is under control. Statistics from the UN say that half of the population of the Democratic Republic of Congo might lose their jobs due to the virus because mostly the population in there is of street vendors, market sellers, taxi drivers, and they might lose their savings and might also end up on the streets. Here is one of the examples that the Democratic Republic of Congo did for their citizens. As we all know, elderly people are more likely to get the coronavirus. So in respect to that, Caritas, Charity of Catholic Church in Congo, prevent elderly from going out of their home and also provide them with food rations worth 2,100 calories to some elderly to boost their immune system that will help them to fight viruses and stay healthy. As a representative of my country, I will suggest for the WHO to find the medicine of this disease as soon as possible, or not many people will have to suffer in our country. And in our country, we have a lot of unprivileged people in our country, and we want to save them from dying and suffering from the virus. And I will also ask the WHO to send some aids for our country, such as medicines and beds and also ventilators. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Next, the Delegate of United States of America, you may start now.
Delegate of USA, are you able to hear us?
Okay. Wait. Just as a reminder, after the Delegate of USA goes, as this is the general speakers list, we will go back to the beginning of the general speakers list, and it will go back to the Delegate of Indonesia, then Brazil, then Congo, then USA, and it will go in this cycle again. So the chair would like to remind everyone that at any point you are allowed to raise your hand and start a moderated caucus. So just as an example, if you're a delegate, you could raise after a delegate is finished talking and the chair would say, are there any motions for a caucus? You can raise your hand and say, yes, the Delegate of Indonesia, for example, the Delegate of Indonesia would like to raise a motion to address basic sanitation within the underprivileged during the pandemic with a speaking time of 2 minutes. So this is the example. Delegates, you may do this at any time after a delegate is finished talking during the general speakers list, and anyone would volunteer to talk about this topic. Just as a hint, generally, if you read the study guide, most of the questions a resolution must answer, those are good places to start to find some topics on the moderated caucus. Okay, thank you. Delegate of USA, you may start your speech.
Just to be sure if you can hear me, can you?
Delegate of USA, we can hear you, but it's a bit soft. Could you please try speaking a bit louder?
Okay, can you hear me properly now?
Yes.
Honorable Chair, Delegates. The pandemic has been it's actually a very dangerous thing the world's going through right now, and not only through the United States. The United States believes that the pandemic has been very terrifying. The citizens of the United States right now is being tested by a lot of citizens from the United States has been tested of the coronavirus, and as of now is trying to find the vaccine. The United States prioritizes United United States right now believes that offered the bill is the
Thank you, Delegate of USA. Are there any motions on the floor? Yes, Delegate of Democratic of Congo.
I have a motion on the floor.
Yes, Delegate.
I would like to request an unmoderated caucus on the topic how to help the unprivileged and what the WHO can help the country to do that.
So this is a moderated caucus.
Unmoderated.
Oh, Delegate, usually unmoderated. Oh, all right. Okay, that's fine. Unmoderated caucus for how many minutes?
For 5 minutes.
Okay. The committee can have 5 minutes for an unmoderated caucus on how to address.
So just to give you guys hints of clues for the unmoderated caucus. During the unmoderated caucus, this is where you do not need to formally address the chair, or you do not. It's more like an informal debate. You can point out the things that you would like to say regarding the perspective of your country to other delegates, but it must be correlated with the topic that the delegate has motioned for. Yes, delegate.
pardon. Could you repeat that? Honorable Chair, could you please repeat that? You were glitching the whole time.
Oh, okay, sure, Delegate of USA. The chair would like to say that just as a general hint or general guide during an unmoderated caucus, this is where the informal debate happens. You are going to state the perspective of your country regarding the topic that has been raised as the motion. But the delegates will not need to be very formal, like during a moderated or general speaking list. You will just have to debate and state what your country thinks about the topic that has been raised.
Okay, your 5 minutes starts now. The chairs would mute them ourselves, and you guys can discuss between each other. Delegates, you can talk to each other about what is your country's stance on this issue. Okay, you can talk to each other about what's your country's stance on this issue and what would you like to be on the resolution. For example, if I were the delegate of Singapore, I would say that this is my country's stance, and I would like this solution to be on the resolution by the end of this meeting. And other delegates could say so too, and you could see what you agree on and what you don't agree on. And later, when this caucus ends, it will give you a guide on what you want to debate on in the future. So just unmute your mics and talk to each other about what your country wants on the resolution or what your country has a problem with. So just feel free to talk right now. Everyone can unmute their mics. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself now.
Yeah.
We all have no idea what to say.
Yes, the chair understand because like most of you, this is your first time participating in an MUN, and we are very glad and we do appreciate your participation. And with respect to what the dear delegate do not know what to say. Basically, in an MUN, you express the perspective of your country. You express what your country thinks about the issue. Like USA and Indonesia will have different goals, different aims, and different ways of tackling the pandemic. And yeah, this is where you discuss those goals, you discuss those aims, you discuss those methods, because different countries will have different perspectives, right? But at the end of the day, you will have to come up with a resolution where the majority of the committee will agree regarding this solution. Yeah, and like I say, during the unmoderated caucus, you can just debate about anything. It's truly an informal debate. Everyone can actually just unmute yourselves and it'll be really loud, but that's how unmoderated caucus should be. It should be really loud, it should be active, everyone should be talking. You guys can talk over each other. Basically, we are stripping out all the rules of the MUN during the unmoderated caucus. So you can just point out the things that your country believes, the things that your country wants to do. And this is what you generally do in an unmoderated caucus. Yeah, okay. Okay, let the chair restart. The 5 minutes now starts now.
The delegate of Indonesia thinks that treating early detection and treating the unprivileged and others too will be the best solution, as also implementation of pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical measures for the COVID-19 outbreak will also be helpful in reducing the amount of infectants of the coronavirus.
But Delegate of Indonesia, we are talking about how will we help the unprivileged, like the number of ways the WHO and the government can help the unprivileged to survive in this pandemic.
My delegates of Nigeria has been currently facing financial problems, governmental problems, and finding the cure to find the medicine of COVID-19. So at the moment, the people of Nigeria has been currently trying to fight it, and they have been working so hard to find this. And as you know, Nigeria is the country that has lesser funds and less resources to find the cure of COVID.
I have a question for the delegate of delegate of USA first.
Delegate of the Republic of Democracy of Congo, what was your question?
I was asking the delegate of USA that the USA said when the coronavirus started, they said that a vaccine will come in September, October, but we haven't seen a vaccine for that. So what are your opinion on that?
The delegate of the United States, even if our president had the United States President Donald Trump has currently given out false alarm, but the White House is still finding the vaccine, and the United States are now the closest to finding the actual vaccine. The United States believes that finding the vaccine is the fastest way to cure the citizens who received it. Along with giving attention to their needs at the moment, Testings have been given to the United States citizens and those who asked to receive it in the streets.
The Delegate of Brazil proposed to provide several stations in places that are far from civilization or hospitals. So in these stations, you can take a coronavirus test or to receive free masks and to receive minor things such as soap, hand sanitizers, and disinfectants.
The Democratic Republic of Congo delegate proposes that to help the unprivileged, the government and the WHO can, as what the delegate of Brazil said, can set up stations for testing the coronavirus if it's positive or negative, and they can also give mask and hand sanitizer and soap for the unprivileged. And we can also set up. We also urge the WHO to give the countries aid to build hospitals and provide with beds and ventilators, because there are many countries in the world who are not financially stable for that kind of thing.
The Delegate of Brazil also proposes for countries such as Taiwan or other countries that don't have coronavirus anymore to donate some aid such as masks to other countries that are right now suffering such as US, India, and Brazil.
Okay, thank you, delegates. Your 5 minutes is over. That was a good moderated caucus. So just as some advice, now you delegates, you know your country stance, you know other country stance. We're going to go back to the general speakers list, but you can raise moderated caucus during the general speakers list on specific topics that you would like to talk about that came up in your unmoderated caucus that you would like to debate on, and see specifically what other countries' opinions are on this resolution. Okay, so right now, are there any other points or motions on the floor? Yes, Delegate of Indonesia.
The Delegate of Indonesia would like to raise a motion on a moderated caucus on the effect of the pandemic towards the poor. Speaker time will be 1 minute and a total time of 5 minutes.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Delegates who would like to speak on this topic, please raise your hands. Are there any other delegates who would like to speak for this motion? Okay, thank you. Delegate of Indonesia, you may start first.
Honorable chairs, distinguished delegates, the pandemic has had a major impact towards the poor, them not being able to afford treatment or a place to live. Some were forced to live in crowded spaces due to the lack of money. In Indonesia, it has been a huge problem towards the economy and to the people. As a rapidly urbanizing country, it is estimated that just under 22% of Indonesia's urban population live in substandard housing with deteriorating infrastructure. Citizens who live in these areas, including children, are excluded from basic services. And with this, one-headed household will encounter the effects of COVID-19 with much more severity. If one member of the family falls sick, they will lose income. To reduce infections in poverty, maintaining public order, early detections and treatments are solution plans that are made by Indonesia. Prioritizing them first will be the best solution for as of right now.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo, you may start.
The delegate of Indonesia raised an unmoderated caucus on the topic, how can we help the poor in this pandemic? There are many ways we can help the poor in this pandemic, like we can provide them with rations, we can provide them with the basic things that we need in this pandemic, like masks, hand sanitizers, and soap. But as the representative of Congo, in our country, more than half of the population are street vendors, taxi drivers, or market sellers. So we need, and in our country, we don't have that much funds to provide all the unprivileged people in our country. So we will be happy if the WHO can give us some funds, and we can also receive some donations from countries like Japan and South Korea that have seen a decrease in the number of coronavirus cases. Thank you.
And thank you, the Delegate of Democratic Republic of Congo. Are there other motions or points on the floor?
Delegate of Congo, my country is facing the same problem as you. Because due to the pandemic, more of my people are losing jobs. Some my people are starving. Some people are also finding skills to sustain their daily needs.
I have a question to the Democratic Republic of Congo, if that's all right. My question is, isn't the caucus about like the effects on the poor due to COVID-19? It's not about how we can help the poor, isn't that right?
Yes.
I didn't hear that moderated caucus stop it then, because I was lagging so badly right now.
Okay, the Delegate of Brazil, you may have your turn for the moderated caucus.
So the delegate of Brazil believes that in the poor, there are quite a lot of poor people in the country of Brazil. Because due to COVID-19, several of the poor that still have jobs are being laid off their jobs due to this COVID-19, either because their company closed down, no business, or the company has to fire several people to keep their income. Not only that, some of the poor live close to each other, making the spread of COVID-19 very easy, as some of them live in rural villages where they are not very separated. They're mostly separated because of a thin wall, not like our country, not like the cities that have a huge wall like that, a huge separation wall. So that makes the spread of COVID-19 very easily. And also sometimes over in the poor areas, there's not enough resources, like not enough clean food, clean water. And also if you close the transportation routes, they cannot really go to the city to buy their necessary things.
I have a question for the delegate of Brazil. She said the delegate of Brazil said that Brazil's population is crowded and sometimes there are thin walls in rural areas. But then in Brazil, the population density is 25.06 people per square kilometer, which is very low. And in the northeast of Brazil is very sparsely populated due to the climate of the area. So why did you say that in rural areas there's very thin walls of the houses and that does not affect the spread of coronavirus, that affects how crowded is the place?
So rural areas does not just mean the northeast area. It can be also in the south area of Brazil. And to answer your second question, how does thin wall like makes the spread of COVID-19 easier? It does because if example you are going out for a walk and then another person is standing out there, if you get the COVID-19, it's very easy to spread to other people as it's crowded. Example, you're living in like a 1 kilometer square acre of land or something, and you have several neighbors, so it makes the spread very easy.
Okay, thank you, the Delegate of Brazil and the Delegate of Democratic Republic of Congo. Before I ask if there are any other points, motions, or questions on the floor, the chair would like to remind that the delegates should refer to themselves as delegates and other delegates as the countries of their own, and not as I or you. Please be reminded of that. As well as the chair would like to give some advice regarding how the debate should progress. There has been several moderated and unmoderated caucuses that has been motioned for. These moderated and unmoderated caucus are to help you devise your resolution at the end of the day. This will help to let you know what is the country's stance on certain problems and what do countries look for during a resolution. And yeah, here you should be like analyzing or like understanding what are other countries' perspectives and what do they want in their resolution. So you can also like form blocks and support the countries that have the same goal with you, and debate against other countries that do not have the same goal with you. Because at the end of the day, the point of the debate is for your own country, the point of the debate is to make a resolution that strongly supports your own goals and aims for your own country. That is it. Are there any other points, motions, or questions on the floor? If no, we can continue with the general speaking list.
Okay. General Speakers Office, General Speakers List. Delegate of Indonesia, you have 1 minute speaking time. You may start now.
Indonesia has been facing a, a global crisis ever since, excuse me, ever since February where it started, and the number has never gone down ever since. So, for their response to the COVID-19 outbreak, their plan would be to limit transmissions of COVID-19 and reduce subsequent infections in vulnerable communities and health workers. Early detection, isolation, and early treatment, including carrying out optimal services for COVID-19 patients, and the supplying of medical and non-medical medical appliances for the healthcare workers, and maintaining public order and security, as well as social and economic stability during the COVID-19 response. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Moderated Caucus, any points of motions? All right. Then we will continue on with the general speakers list. Delegate of Brazil, you have 1 minute speaking time. You may start now.
Honorable Chairman and fellow delegates, Brazil proposes several suggestions to assist the underprivileged during the current global pandemic. The pandemic is not going down, it's not going away soon or even in 2 days. It will probably take some few more months and several more, even years maybe. So the Brazil proposes several suggestions to assist the poor. One is to give free insurance for the unemployed people or for people who have been laid off from their jobs. The free insurance does not only require money. It can also be given through free water bills, free electrical bills, free food, and free resources basically. Another idea is to provide several stations to wash the hands, disinfect themselves, and to receive free masks. This way, it guarantees that the unemployed people are still following the safety precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Brazil also can help contain the spread of COVID-19. The government can clear off some land to build a makeshift hospital or shelter for COVID-19 patients. So no other patients or people can enter. This way, Brazil will not be in risk of more infections or reinfections. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Brazil. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Okay, delegates, just as an advice, hint, if you're confused on what motions you would like to talk about or what good caucus topics you can talk about, look at your study guide and there's a questions a resolution must answer. There are general topics such as like basic sanitation, cash social assistance, stuff like that you could bring up as moderated caucus. Moderated caucus is to debate and to know your stances and debate on topics. Since there's good discussion so far. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Okay, if there are no points or motions, we will continue on with the general speakers list. Delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo, you have 1 minute and you may start now.
As the representative of my country, the Democratic Republic of Congo is working on to build hospitals and coronavirus testing stations and expand that project. So, because there are the cases in the Democratic Republic of Congo are rising day by day, so we are preparing hospitals and testing stations so we can be ready for what we need for the future, and we are also purchasing medicines like the hydrochloroquine medicine that helps defeats coronavirus and other. We are also purchasing beds. The government is also talking to the hotels in the capital of Congo, which is Kinshasa, where there is a major outbreak of coronavirus. We are talking to the hotels so they can provide with the beds. So in case the hospitals are full, we can still put the coronavirus patients in the hotels. And we are also purchasing new ventilators. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Democratic Republic of Congo. Are there any points or motions on the floor?
The delegate of Brazil wants to propose an unmoderated caucus based on how can basic sanitation be readily made available for all of the people, including the poor.
Sorry, did you say, Delegate, did you say unmoderated or moderated?
Unmoderated.
Okay, what is the time limit of this unmoderated caucus?
Time limit will be 5 minutes.
Okay. Delegates, you may start your unmoderated caucus for 5 minutes. Thank you. Delegate, your time has started, so everyone can talk.
So Brazil can provide several stations in rural areas or villages to, once again, give hand sanitizers, those sort of things, soap, and COVID-19 tests. But how about the rest of the countries?
The delegate of Brazil, would you like to restate what the topic for your unmoderated caucus was, as the chair believes some may not have heard it?
Okay, so the delegate of Brazil would like to propose an unmoderated caucus based on the topic, how can basic sanitation be readily made available for all, including the poor and the underprivileged?
Delegates, this is an unmoderated caucus. For those who may not have heard, this is an unmoderated caucus, so you can discuss freely and informally about the Delegate of Brazil's topic. Your aim is basically to discuss like what resolutions you would want based on this topic. Yeah. Maybe you can say like, do you agree with Brazil or do you not agree with Brazil? Maybe you can start with that and just continue on and why you agree or why you don't agree. So that way we can see which sides you guys are on. Delegate of Congo, maybe you had some technical issues and you disconnected, but there was a motion for an unmoderated caucus, right? And it is currently happening right now.
So delegates, during the unmoderated caucus, I understand that some of you may not really have thought regarding the topic or the things that your country wants to say, but this is actually fine. During the unmoderated caucus, you can actually just discuss with other fellow delegates whatever you want regarding the perspective of the problem that we have gave you at the start of the MUN. It doesn't have to be formal. You actually do not need to also say like the delegate of Brazil or the delegate of Indonesia, the delegate of United States says something like that. This is actually in an unmoderated caucus. You're strongly encouraged to like talk freely with other people regarding your opinions and perspective. Yeah.
As the delegate of Brazil raised the motion for unmoderated caucus of how can sanitization be made for all. In Congo and I believe in many other nations like Indonesia, USA, and Brazil, Nigeria, sanitization trucks are running around the cities, and if we found a place that is a red zone of coronavirus, sanitization usually happens in that place. So for coronavirus not to be spread, it would be better if we restrict the people from going to the red zones and allow only some people to go on, to the orange zones of that place, so we can limit the contact of the coronavirus with people.
Okay, delegates, your time is up. Are there any other points, motions on the floor? Okay, if not, the chair would also like to advise you guys, the delegates, regarding how we should progress. Basically, what we are doing here for is all the countries coming here have all their concerns regarding the pandemic. You guys are, the delegates are facing different issues in your own respective countries, and you're coming here to this committee, in the WHO committee, to discuss actually what is best for the countries to be able to solve this pandemic. And since different countries have different problems, different solutions will arise. But at the end of the day, since we are one committee, the delegates will have to debate and discuss regarding one proposal or one resolution that will benefit the entire committee. So what's the point of the moderated and unmoderated and the general speakers list? Here you are basically stating the perspective of your country, you're stating the opinion of your country and what your country thinks the solution to this pandemic should be. But of course, every country will have different solutions and different opinions. And this is where you debate and you discuss what is best for each country. Yeah, so at the end of the day, you will be able to come to a solution or what we call as a resolution. Good, because if you don't raise points or motions, if you do not raise like moderated caucuses, and if you do not raise topics to be discussed about, your own country will only have your own solution, and this is not taking into account other countries' solution, and so the debate will go on and on and on. The general speakers list will restart and restart and restart, and you will never be able to achieve a resolution because you will not know what other country thinks and what your own country thinks and what's the best resolution which will benefit the entire committee will be. This is why we strongly encourage moderated and unmoderated caucuses where you can discuss and debate your own stance and other delegate stance and see which one is best for all. Yeah, and so if right now, do any delegates have points, motions, questions on the floor? No. Okay. Just as another general hint, the study guide that we shared to you, a lot of the topics for moderated caucuses are there. We give you points a resolution should have. We gave you like a small mini topics. The big topic is like how do you assist the underprivileged, right? But we give you sub mini topics where the resolution should contain. And these are all amazing topics where you should actually be having debate about in the moderated or unmoderated caucuses. And so if you're not sure where to start, you can always start there and it'll be best as well because everyone in this committee will be able to be engaged in terms of like perspective and opinions. Yeah. Okay. So if there's no points or motions, we will go back to the general speaking list.
Okay. Yeah, just to add to that, if you guys are still confused about it, okay, some hints will be like, okay, what about people with low income? How will your country help them? How will the WHO help them? How about countries who do not have enough financial capacity to make new hospitals? How about countries who have like a large population who are in poverty? Basic sanitation, that was already a really good topic. The chair thing that was brought up. So you guys are actually doing a great job. Just keep going at it. Yeah. Are there any points of motions on the floor? No? Okay, if so, we're continuing with the general speakers list. The delegate of USA, you may start now. You have 1 minute. Delegate of USA, you have 1 minute. You may start your speech now.
Delegate of USA, can you hear me? Delegate of USA? Chair, I think we can proceed because I think the delegate of USA is experiencing some connection issues.
Okay. Delegate of Indonesia. Sorry. Delegate of USA, sorry, we are talking. We are unable to hear you. Okay, Delegate of Indonesia, will continue on with the general speakers list. You may start your 1 minute now.
Sorry. But to the group, honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, I would also like to talk about the other vulnerable groups in Indonesia. As it was obvious, as we have also talked about, the poor segments of the population are very vulnerable to the pandemic, as they don't have any money for treatment, etc. But older people and people with medical conditions and disabilities are also vulnerable to the coronavirus, as their body can't handle the virus. And people with HIV will also suffer through the pandemic. Refugees and IDPs in Indonesia are also at risk. Since there was an island that used to be home to many Vietnamese refugees, it is now used as a COVID-19 area for treatment, and now they are much more vulnerable. Healthcare workers are also another high-risk group due to their elevated exposure to the COVID-19 viruses, since they are the ones who are treating them. And also the returned Indonesian migrant workers. The migrant workers, they have significantly impacted the economy, with many reporting to have been forced to return without their full salaries being paid for their employers. And also religious ethnic minorities, as they are at greater risk of harassment and discrimination. Children are also children in the remote communities are also in high risk, since they don't have any treatment such as vaccines and medicine to help their body grow. And detainees and prison populations, another group with increased vulnerabilities to COVID-19. Institutional residents of old people home, nursing homes, and boarding houses, homes for mentally or physically ill, dense workplace accommodation for factory or migrant workers are all areas concerned for increased risk of the disease spread. And that is why we all need to prioritize on those first before we. Thank you.
Yes, Delegate of Nigeria.
My respectful moderators and fellow delegates, in my country, more than 1/3 of all humanitarian assistance in 2019 in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states was through cash and voucher assistance, reaching more than 1.5 million throughout the year. Cash and voucher assistance has a direct and lasting impact in the lives of each of these people. In regards of the response of my country in cash assistances, the Central Bank of Nigeria has set out a number of measures to tackle the impact of the coronavirus, including establishing a fund to support the country's economy of 50 billion naira in terms of 121 million euros. Targeted at households and micro and small enterprises, the interest rate has also been cut. A moratorium has been announced on principal repayments for CBN interventions, facilities, and tax measures are being taken.
Thank you, Delegate of Nigeria. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Delegates, if you have a point or motion, you can just raise your hand and suggest a motion.
The delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo wants to request the chairwoman and chairman for an unmoderated caucus on the on the people who are in the foreign country and want to go back to their own country, because we have experienced that a lot in this pandemic.
Okay. What is the time limit?
Each speaker 1 minute for 5 minutes.
So it's a moderated caucus?
Yes.
Okay, moderated caucus, each speaker, delegate,
Each speaker for 1 minute and the caucus will be for 5 minutes.
Can you repeat the topic?
How can we help the people who are in the foreign countries go back to their own countries?
Okay. Thank you, Delegate of the Congo. Delegates who would like to speak for this moderated caucus, please raise your hands. Delegates, even if you may not have a lot to say, maybe it's just good. It's just try and just say stuff. Thank you, Delegate of Brazil. Any other delegates who would like to speak for this motion? Okay, thank you. Any other delegates? Okay, thank you. Delegate of Congo, you may start.
As everybody knows, due to this coronavirus pandemic, many people are behomed, or we can say that they are stuck in other countries. Like we have students of many places, like the students of USA wants to go back to their own country, which is Brazil, and we have seen that a lot on news channels. And due to the coronavirus, many nations have gone into a lockdown and they have banned traveling and flights and all kind of transportation from other countries, so the contact of the coronavirus can be lessened. But due to this, people who are working abroad or studying abroad cannot go back to their home countries and sometimes stuck in there. So what solutions can we have for them so they can come back to their home countries, because many people are stuck?
Thank you, Delegate of Congo. Delegate of Brazil, you have 1 minute. Delegate of Nigeria. Did you want to say something? Yes. Delegate of Nigeria.
Delegate of Congo, my suggestion is to give free transportation assistance and money to start a small business in their hometown.
Okay, thank you, the delegate of Nigeria. Delegate of Brazil, you may start.
As you know, many people move out of Brazil yearly. On average, about 100,000 Brazilians have left the country per year since 2000. So it means in 2014, more than 3.1 million Brazilians live outside the country, according to the Ministry of Foreign Relations. So the people that move out of Brazil are either studying or finding work. But that doesn't mean that they don't have family back in Brazil. So when visiting their family, especially during the COVID-19 time right now, it's very hard, especially since planes or modes of transportation such as planes, boats, or trains are being closed or shut down. So this is how, so families are being separated due to this COVID-19 situation.
Thank you, Delegate of Brazil. Delegate of Indonesia.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates. As you know, Indonesia is not in a complete lockdown as of right now, but the government has still enforced a social distancing rule. So they are also encouraged to not go travel and travel back. But if they need to, they will either have to stay in a 14-day quarantine alone in one room, contact with anyone until it is done. But, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Other topics you delegates you might like to address? Okay, if not, Chair would go back to the general speakers list. Delegate of Brazil. You have 1 minute and you may start now. Delegate of Brazil. We're back to the general speakers list. You may start your speech.
Honorable Chairman and fellow delegates, the Ministry of Health in Brazil did not present a comprehensive plan to fight the virus yet. Instead, the Ministry of Health works on boosting the production of hydroxychloroquine and encouraging doctors to prescribe it to patients with COVID-19, meaning Brazil does not have enough resources. Brazil has also struggled to import important and life-saving equipment like coronavirus tests and ventilators. Brazil is on short of something such as beds and food resources for the patients. Several hospitals near Sao Paulo were full to capacity, and most of the health workers were working overtime.
Thank you, Delegate of Brazil.
Okay, we will proceed with the general speakers list, but before we continue on, I would just like to give some more advice to help enrich your discussion and debate. The countries that the chairs have chosen for all of the delegates here have a lot of similarities in common. Ever since the pandemic struck, there has been a lot of problems with respect to unemployment, race in mental health, like diseases, as well as gender-based violence and all of that sort. Because different countries have different problems. You guys, the delegates are here in WHO to propose a solution that will benefit your own country the most. Yeah, but different countries will need different types of solution. For example, a country that is more economically developed will not need cash assistance. Yeah, but they might need something else. And less economically developed countries will need assistance to aid in like healthcare services and like transfer payments to the unemployed workers and policies like that. But since different countries have different stances, this is why you will debate regarding different perspectives of your own country. Yeah? Your country may be experiencing unemployment more than another country, or your country may be experiencing more gender-based violence compared to another country, or your country may also have a lot of immigrants unlike other countries. This is why different countries have different problems, and you must be able to debate and discuss with other delegates regarding a solution that you will be writing in the resolution paper. Yeah. Okay, with that being said, are there any other points or motions on the floor?
The Delegate of Brazil would like to propose an unmoderated caucus on people that have sickness is in risk of COVID-19. Speaking time of 3 minutes.
Delegate Unmoderated Caucus.
Yes, unmoderated caucus.
Okay, sorry, Delegate, could you repeat the topic?
Okay, so the Delegate of Brazil would like to propose an unmoderated caucus based on the topic people with already old sickness is in risk of COVID-19.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes, Delegate of Congo.
I would like to speak in the unmoderated caucus. That's what I was going to say.
The Delegate Democratic Republic of Congo, what were you saying just now? You were quite choppy.
Nothing. No.
Okay, thank you. Unmoderated caucus on the topic of people with prior diseases and those are at risk. Your 3 minutes starts now.
So in Brazil, there are several people that have sicknesses. For an example, 32% of the adult population has heart failure, and 6.3% to 13.5% have diabetes. So they are in risk of the COVID-19 as people with heart failures, heart disease, lung disease, and diabetes or other high blood pressure will have a higher risk in COVID-19.
How would Brazil solve that question? May I ask you, fellow delegate?
So maybe we can, to solve that question, maybe WHO or other countries can help by providing some stuff like some equipments to solve heart failure. Like for example, in diabetes, you need those needle thing to like help the diabetes to go down, something like that.
Delegate of United States of America, are you speaking? Sadly, we cannot hear you. Would you mind trying to log in with your phone? Yeah, try logging in with your phone. And with respect to the topic raised by the delegate of Brazil, every country will have people who are sick or the elderlies who have existing medical illnesses such as that of cardiovascular diseases, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and of that sort. So every delegate, I think, will have a say in this because every country have people who are sick and are more prone to infecting the COVID-19.
I agree with Brazil as supplying with what the the vulnerable first will be the best solution as it will cause less death and infections among Indonesia and around the world. So if the vaccine does come, the delegate Indonesia will plan to provide the vaccines first to the old people and the vulnerable.
Thank you, delegates. Your 3 minutes of unmoderated caucus is up. Are there any other points of motions on the floor? Points or motions on the floor? Any topic, any motion? Yes, Delegate of Congo, did you want to say something?
No.
Oh, yes, Delegate of Indonesia.
The delegate of Indonesia would like to raise a motion on a unmoderated caucus on how far does your social distancing rules go to speaking time of 3 minutes.
Is this an unmoderated caucus?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Unmoderated caucus on the extent of social distancing for 3 minutes. Delegate of Congo, I think the topic was the extent of your social distancing measures in your country. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Indonesia's social distancing rules have reached until to ban celebrations, such as one of them being the recent Eid al-Fitr. Well, not the celebration itself, but the traveling, since Eid al-Fitr is where we would either go to each other's houses or go to your family's house in like another country or a city, which is very dangerous. And the the social distancing rules, we should also stay either 2 meters away from each other, and markets will be closed at certain times. And food deliveries are highly encouraged, but then also freight trucks are also supplying supplies for the citizens.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Yes, Delegate of Nigeria.
My fellow moderators and respectful delegates, social distancing in Nigeria is that authorities have banned large gatherings and shut down schools in Abuja, the capital, and other states across the country. In Lagos, the country's commercial hub, officials have ordered nightclubs and bars to shut down. Other states, including Ekiti, Ogun, Osun, and Rivers, have adopted similar measures.
Social distancing in Brazil includes closing of schools, universities, and almost all shops except for food stores, pharmacies, and hospitals. It also does not mean the closing of police stations or fire stations. Also, it means that the celebrations in Brazil are being stopped and halted, so there is no major gatherings.
Social distancing in the Democratic Republic of Congo. As the population density of the Democratic Republic of Congo is only 16 kilometer 16 people per kilometer square, and it is one of the least population density, unlike Macau and other countries and cities. So, social distancing in the Democratic Republic of Congo is easily happening because of the population density, and schools have closed, and many malls and many other workspaces have closed, and the government urges the population of Congo to do work from home.
Guys, maybe you can even talk about extent of social distancing is a good topic. Maybe you could talk about specifically with the underprivileged, who cannot do social distancing because they have to work, or the underprivileged population in your country who cannot do social distancing. What does your government suggest the WHO or your government itself can do about that? Maybe you could say your own opinions. Like, according to your country, there are some people who your country would like to social distance, but there are some people who do not want to social distance or who cannot social distance because they have to do work, and because they're poor, they live on these wages on the daily basis. So what do you think your country should do about that? Just feel free to say anything. It's an unmoderated caucus, anyways. You can just say anything you want. Like, yeah, just try.
Indonesia thinks we should, even though it was more encouraged to work at home, but people who can also have to follow the social distancing rules, such as staying distance from other workers for 2 meters and using masks to avoid infections.
Brazil thinks that maybe the poor people or underprivileged people will have to work from home. Well, it depends. If they're opening stores, then if most possible, wear masks and gloves and do the basic safety guidelines. But if they are not, if they're working in office or something, maybe they can work from home, which is also an option.
As half of the population of the Democratic Republic of Congo are market sellers, street vendors, and taxi drivers, so they are paid they're less paid. So if we ask them to have online classes and that stuff, I think the Democratic Republic of Congo thinks that that will be a little bit hard because, as I said, they earn very less. They're less paid, and they depend on earning every day. They don't have a monthly salary. So because of that, because of the corona, because everybody is having stay in home, quarantine, home isolation, and lockdown and stuff. So that has made the population, the half of the population who are market sellers and who are less paid, making their salary and more salary decrease, which makes social distancing impossible because they cannot do work from home or have online classes because they're less paid and they cannot afford to buy laptops or mobiles to have online classes or Wi-Fi.
What does your country do since it can't, because citizens who are underprivileged can't do work at home or do school at home? What precautions does your country put, such as mask, disinfectants, or social distancing in general that
Uh,
doesn't require to be home?
I would like to answer the question of the delegate of Indonesia. Because it is hard for us, because it is hard for our population to do social distancing. We have placed like hand sanitization stations, and we have also run sanitization trucks in the marketplaces and schools, so the children who go there are have less chance of being infected. And we have also set it up like the scanning, the thermometer scanning, so if there is increase in the students temperature or the people's temperature, we just send them to have a coronavirus test. So, and we also urge for our population to use mask, and when they go to school, at least maintain the 1 or 2 feet social distancing as it is proposed by the UN guidelines, the WHO guidelines.
Yeah, that's good discussion, delegates. Maybe that's really good discussion. You guys talked about the solutions your countries did and would like to suggest. Maybe you could talk more also about what do you think the WHO can do? A lot of countries they mentioned that they had hand sanitation points, um, providing masks, but be mindful that this is the underprivileged. Is your country does your country have the capacity to provide this financial assistance? Is this something that maybe the WHO can help with? What are some things that your country thinks the WHO can help with regarding this issue too? So yeah, as the discussion moves on, you can discuss about, for example, if I'm the delegate of Singapore, the delegate of Singapore would like the WHO to provide cash assistance or something like that. But yes, a very good discussion so far. The unmoderated caucus for the extent of social distancing has ended. Are there any other points or motions on the floor that delegates you would like to discuss?
The delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo will request an a moderated caucus for 2 minutes each speaker, and for 7 minutes on the topic on how can the WHO help the unprivileged countries like Nigeria and other countries, so they can help the countries have less coronavirus cases.
Okay, thank you, Delegate of Congo. Delegates who would like to speak for this motion, please raise your hand. The motion is how the WHO can help the underprivileged decrease the number of coronavirus cases. Okay, any other countries? Thank you, Nigeria, Brazil. I think this is a moderated caucus of 2 minutes per person. The Delegate of Congo mentioned. Thank you, Congo, Nigeria, Brazil. Any other countries who would like to speak on this issue? Okay, thank you. Before we continue on to this unmoderated caucus, the chair would give you guys a break of 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll just have a short break. And when I'll say that we'll have a break of 3 to 5 minutes. I'll say that we can be back soon. I'll say it in the group chat. I mean in the chat box. I'm so sorry. Okay, thank you. Delegates, the break time is over. Please come back on and turn on your cameras. Okay, delegates, we will go back to the moderated caucus suggested by the Delegate of Congo, how the WHO can help the underprivileged decrease the coronavirus cases. Speaking time of 2 minutes for each delegate. So, Delegate of Congo, you may start first. Delegate of Congo, please switch on your camera. Thank you. Delegate of Congo. All right, we'll continue on with the list. Delegate of Nigeria, you may start first. Delegate of Nigeria, you may start first on this topic. The topic is how can the WHO help the underprivileged decrease their coronavirus cases?
My respectful moderator and respectful delegates, WHO can reduce working hours and could exchange employees during work hours.
Thank you, Delegate of Nigeria. Delegate of Congo, you may speak.
So, on the moderated caucus of how can the WHO help the underprivileged in several countries who are not financially stable, the delegate of Democratic Republic of Congo suggests that the WHO can help the underprivileged countries by sending them aids, by sending them medicines, and the delegate of Congo also asks other nations who are already bending the curve of the coronavirus to send donations of masks, hand sanitizer, or medicines such as hydrochloroquine, so that can help the underprivileged countries or the countries who are not financially stable, and the countries the countries who are the country who have coronavirus that cases that are increasing day by day.
Thank you, the delegate. Delegate of Brazil, you may start.
The delegate of Brazil would like the WHO community to supply Brazil with medication and vitamins like vitamin C to help boost your immune system to fight the COVID-19. The delegate of Brazil will also like for other countries such as Taiwan or China that has a bending curve in the COVID-19 to send over some experienced doctors or nurse or even aids such as masks, beds, or the equipment used to help the COVID-19 prevention spread.
Thank you, Delegate of Brazil. Are there any delegates who would like to speak for this moderated caucus on how the WHO can help the underprivileged decrease coronavirus cases? Okay, if not, then this moderated caucus has ended.
Yep. So Delegate, since we are approaching the end of our session, you'll be sooner you'll be writing the resolution paper, and I'll just like to give you some advices on how you should actually approach this paper. Yeah, because every country has the different perspective and different opinions when like facing this pandemic. And the reason we are all gathered here to talk about this topic is that each country would like to ask the WHO for a solution to their problem. Each country will have like some country who have a huge amount of unemployment will ask WHO for funds, whereas some who are lacking in the healthcare sector will also ask other more economically developed countries to send aid to their own country. So in this resolution paper, you should all take into account the opinions and perspectives of different countries in order to make a solution that will benefit the majority of the countries here. Yeah. So with that being said, are there any other points or motions on the floor?
Okay. Just as a reminder, if the delegates, if you guys, okay, because to end this committee, we would have to come up with a resolution paper or a working paper with all your solutions of what you want the WHO to do. If you want to start working on a working paper, any delegate would have to raise a motion to start an unmoderated caucus for a few minutes to work on a Google Docs together or something to work on a working paper and discuss on it a little bit afterwards, and then we vote on whether we should let a resolution pass. This is how we're going to start working on a working paper. So delegates, if you would like to start working on a working paper, you have to raise a motion for an unmoderated caucus to discuss the working paper. Okay, just a reminder. So are there any points or motions on the floor? Okay, if there are no points or yes,
Yes.
Delegate of Congo.
The delegate of Congo will request for an unmoderated caucus so we can start writing the position paper and present our resolutions to the WHO committee.
Okay, thank you, Delegate of Congo. How much time would you like for this unmoderated caucus to work on the working paper?
15 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, your unmoderated caucus will start now. Yeah. Okay, I'll paste, just so it's easier for everyone, I'll paste a link to the Google Docs that you guys can all work on together in the chat box.
The delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo would like to request the other delegates for the solution so we can come up with a resolution paper and which resolutions do we like the best.
Delegates, the link is in the chat. That's your working paper. So what a working paper does is in the beginning, you can search for working papers online or some samples, or even we actually sent you guides on how to start working papers. So basically in the beginning, you will write your concern, what your countries are concerned about, and then a list of the solutions. So yeah, you guys can start discussing on what you would like to include in your working paper and start writing it down.
The delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo suggests to help the unprivileged in this time, to have a solution for this topic. The delegate of Congo suggests to suggest that the WHO should provide some aid for the underprivileged countries, and also the countries who are recovering from coronavirus fastly, like China, South Korea, and Japan. They can send some doctors because they are experienced in how to handle a coronavirus situation.
Yep. So as a general guide, the working paper will consist of what your country thinks you need the most. But at the end of the day, the final product should be a solution that all of the countries agree about. Yeah. For example, if your country is lacking the aid required to produce a vaccine, then you might propose a solution to for more economically developed countries to provide you transfer payments or in terms of cash to your country in order to produce vaccine, or in order to collaborate with other countries that have already started the vaccine. Or maybe the problem of your country is unemployment, or maybe you like healthcare services, like you like the doctors and nurses, so you ask the WHO if your country can receive people from other countries, the doctors and nurses from other countries, to aid your healthcare service. Yeah, so at first you will have to write down what your country proposes, like the solution, but then the final product of the resolution paper will be that everyone in the committee will be able to agree upon.
Okay, guys. So basically, this working paper is basically the resolution that you guys are working on. So you guys can all unmute yourself, and because it's an unmoderated caucus, you guys can discuss what do you want your paper to look like. I think our co-chair has helped put samples of the working paper in the chat. You guys can check that out, and yeah, there are very good phrases that you can use for your paper. Discuss on solutions that you want. So, for example, there are many mentions of the WHO helping supply medication and helping supply equipment. There was a lot of mention of that during the past debates. So you could put that in your working paper and write down that one of your resolutions is wanting the WHO to supply medications to the countries who are in need of financial assistance, or something like that. So just really discuss, and in this short amount of time, you should try to do as much as possible on a working paper to make it look like a working paper. So yeah, you can just all unmute yourselves and just talk to each other on what you would like to be there. So yeah, just suggestions, like basically what you've discussed in all the caucuses. It's a summary, basically. So just remember what you talked about and try to put it all there.
So what will be the first solution that we can all agree on?
What will be the topic?
Finding solutions to end the pandemic.
It's not end the pandemic, it's assisting the underprivileged during this
You mean assisting hospitalization? Or it's different?
The delegate of Congo suggests a solution for the underprivileged that the WHO can raise funds for the underprivileged countries or the countries that are not financially stable. So the funds that the WHO will raise will go directly to the countries or the the countries who are more economically stable, like the USA, China, Canada, France. They can donate. They can donate their. They can donate some money to the underprivileged countries.
Yeah, I agree on that. How about the others?
Nigeria would like to suggest a topic about assistance of hospitalization since lots of doctors, nurses, and more has been working, like overworking.
The delegate of the USA has listened to the has listened to all other countries' opinions, and unfortunately, we're having a big problem on donating money. The US currently has the most cases of COVID-19 and is even struggling in their own hospitals. Therefore, may have opened an unmoderated caucus to discuss how the US can provide the money to other countries who need it.
So anyone with solutions? I've got none.
The US is currently the closest to finding the facts and is now working actually very hard and has donated millions of dollars to different types of hospitals. Is there any resources that the US government can connect to give those to help share those resources?
That's a
Any
good point,
transportation?
Yeah, guys, I think the US like trying to talk about like providing resources, and your countries are talking about you guys need resources. So maybe you can make this a part of your resolution in which countries can work together to provide resources for countries who are in need. And how do you decide that? In our resolution, if you guys are a bit blank on like how to write it down, I suggest just write down informally what are your resolutions, like what you said just now, Delegate of Indonesia, about sharing resources, about providing medical supplies. Just write that down informally as bullet points on the working paper first. Later, us chairs will help you figure out how to write it formally. So don't worry about the format about it yet. I suggest you guys just discuss on the resolutions that you guys want and put it as bullet points even on the working paper.
So whose country will be providing the supplies and materials for treating the vulnerable?
The United States has more materials than any other country right now, but even the United States can't provide every single one of the countries to some resources, since the United States also needs those resources. there are some unemployed citizens as well. Therefore, we're requesting any assistance that the other countries have to also input some money or other medical resources. Does any does any state right now have any relations with others to like help?
The United States might have once provided Indonesia with supplies since we were asked.
The United States could only unfortunately reach a few. Since the United States have the most infections of the corona and already has 25% of the coronavirus cases, we are shutting down. The United States are shutting down airports from other countries as it is not safe to continue and keep giving resources since during these processes the US has been receiving even more cases. Is there any suggestion on how this can be avoided so the transitions can go as normally?
So do we agree on our first resolution will be countries will be like giving aids and supplies to the underprivileged countries?
Does the
Nigeria
delegate,
has agreed with the resolution provided.
so does the delegate of the United States agree?
The United States only can fully agree with this plan if other bigger countries or states can provide some resources too. The economy of the United States has only been surviving. It's not as high as it used to be. Therefore, it's harder for the United States to provide these. Therefore,
So what solution is it possible to drag another country such as like Japan to help us since they're already done with the COVID-19, they're almost done with the COVID-19 pandemic. Is it possible we can ask them, or is it only in our circle of countries to ask them for materials?
the delegate of the United States has a question to to every fellow delegate. Does any of your countries have an ally or allies that can help provide resources other than the ones currently in this meeting, as the only allies the United States have right now is North Korea?
The Democratic Republic. To answer the question of the delegate of USA, the delegate of USA may not know, but then the allies of Congo is USA as one of the ally. We also have China, Canada, Russia, South Korea, Poland, Namibia, Mexico, India, France, Finland, and Romania. and Canada has already provided the Democratic Republic of Congo with AIDS, and Congo is also recovering from coronavirus because Congo has already experienced the outbreak of Ebola. So the Democratic Republic of Congo is easily recovering because they know how to take care of coronavirus, and they're just treating it as the same with Ebola.
As I mentioned before, the United States have been starting a vaccine, and as multiple times, it is the closest to the actual corona vaccine, and it's being tested on multiple patients in the hospital at this moment. So far, we have the United States has been providing a bunch of resources to different countries as well, while they're giving back also valuable resources. But sometimes the United States has to cancel those to work on the vaccine. And before, the United States stands to finish the vaccine as fast as possible. Yet, as others request for more help and is already debated by the presidents to provide it to smaller countries at first, the United States have been lacking in time to actually finish the vaccine, but still experiments are going on, and the United States believes that they need a little bit more time.
I think at this point, all the delegates have been making very good points. Just to help your discussion. Yes, the delegate of USA has made points on vaccines, and I think there are other delegates who, in the beginning of the general speakers list, has talked about treatment of the underprivileged. This can also be something in your resolution, such as like prioritizing access to the vaccine or treatment for the underprivileged. This can be something that you can put in your resolution. So yes, these can be put in your resolutions. Stuff like basic sanitation, which you talked in your unmoderated caucus, like how can you incorporate that into your working paper? You guys can also discuss that. Extent of social distancing. How do you think the WHO can help with that? Especially with the underprivileged. So I think these are some points that you guys might have forgotten to discuss about. But yeah, you can discuss about that now and just put in as much as possible in your working paper right now, because the unmoderated caucus is ending soon. So yeah, just put as much resolutions that you guys can possibly agree on your resolution right now. And maybe each country you guys can state one by one, like, okay, this is what my country wants on the resolution, and just put it on there first. So yeah.
The United States wants to add that other countries should prioritize the infect the ones infected with the coronavirus and has no upper privilege to um has no privilege to like afford these things, while the USA and other bigger countries tend to work on the vaccine as they are the closest and has the most chances of succeeding to finalize the vaccine.
I have a question for the delegate of USA. She keeps on repeating that the USA is the closest to make a vaccine, but I think she doesn't know that the president of Russia, Mr. Vladimir Putin, has confirmed that his country has already made the vaccine, and the Russia is having a mass making of the vaccine so it can treat all the people in Russia. So what are the views of the delegate of USA on that?
The USA doesn't have any good relationships with Russia. Most of and I think it doesn't know that most that Russians aren't allowed in the US anymore they as coronavirus is being as well large of our population is receiving the virus from Russia, therefore shutting them out, but also allowing them for transactions and other needs.
But how do we solve the underprivileged problem?
The delegate of Congo, a while ago you said you're an ally of Russia, and you said they have already found a vaccine. Would you and your country claims to not still have a huge problem with it. Is there any way that your country can discuss with Russia or any other country that's related or associated with Russia to help share this information on the virus if they claim that they already have fully made a working virus?
The chair would like to state that all of the delegates here are making good points. You are expressing the perspective and opinions of your own countries and defending your position, which is what you should be doing in the first place. So the chair suggests that right now what you can do for the resolution paper is you write down all of your different opinions, because at the end of the day, the resolution paper, we will need to vote on that first. Then we will see which one is the majority and that solution will pass. And the final product will then be the one with the most amount of votes. So right now what you can do is you write down your different opinions and different solutions, because a lot of you raised points regarding funding, like how the WHO should like start a fund where it can be donating the money to like different countries. And I hear a lot of, the chair hears a lot of like different opinions, whether some is like donating for like vaccines, or some is donating for healthcare equipment, some is like donating to like the unemployed people, some is donating to like healthcare services, and all of these are different opinions, and like different countries will be needing different aids. Some might need the vaccine more, some might need the healthcare equipment more. And so the chair right now suggests that all of you will write all of these different opinions in the resolution paper. The formality or the format of the position of the working paper is none of your concern. We can all fix that later. But right now, what is most important is you all gather all your thoughts and opinions and solutions of what your country thinks is the most important and urgent right now. And after that is done, we can vote on it, and the solution with the majority of the votes will be passed. And then you can fix the working paper again for the final product. Yeah. Yes, Delegate of Nigeria.
Excuse me, should it be our ideas or the country itself about the resolutions?
It should be your country, because in an MUN, in a committee, you are representing your country and not representing your own views. So it should be what your country thinks is best for their citizens and not what you think is best. Yep.
Thank you, respective moderator, for your answer.
Yeah. You're welcome. With that being said, the Unmoderated Caucus actually ended like 15 minutes ago, but all of you had really, really good discussion. That is why me and my co-chair didn't stop any of you guys. We really liked the discussion that was progressing. So the chair right now would like to ask if any of you guys would like to extend the unmoderated caucus and by how many minutes? Because you're not done with your resolution paper, so you need more time in the unmoderated caucus. So right now, we're asking you if you guys need more time, and if you guys do need more time, by how many more minutes? Does anyone want to raise a motion? Because like for formality in an MUN, you do need to raise the motion for that. Yes, Delegate of Indonesia.
The delegate of Indonesia would like to raise a unmoderated caucus on working on the working paper.
Yep. Okay. Time period?
For 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes. Cool. So just as a general tip, just write down all the solutions and perspectives your country thinks is the most urgent right now. And then the formality or the format or the structure of the resolution paper is not really of your concern. Afterwards, we can vote on these different solutions, and the majority of the vote that is given to this specific solution will be the final product for your resolution paper. So right now, just list as many opinions or as many solutions as you can in the working paper. Yep, you may start. The delegate of Congo, if you have tuition right now, are you able to join both at the same time? If not, then you can leave the MUN meeting. But we strongly suggest you to still stay because, you know, we still need to vote on it. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Just if it's possible, just put in your opinions in the working paper. Yeah, it's supposed to end by 3:10, but yeah, you guys had really good discussions. That's why like we didn't really want to stop you, because like the discussion was going back and forth, and that is what the MUN is all about. And we fear that if we stopped you and told you that the unmoderated caucus is actually over time, then you might stop the discussion, and the debate may become stagnant. Yeah, that's why we didn't stop you at 3:10. Yeah. The delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo. If you can't stay, then you may leave. But yeah, you can still put in your opinions in the working paper. And if you would like to vote remotely, then you can text me. Yeah, so you may leave now. Okay.
Yes, Delegate of USA. Did you want to say something?
The delegate of the delegate
The delegate of the United States has a point of personal privilege to go to the restroom.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Delegates, while you're writing all these things, maybe you can discuss. If you're done writing all these things, then maybe you can discuss together. Like, oh, like point number one, does my country agree with it? Or like, yeah, okay, that can be included. Point number two, my country thinks that should not be included, or something like that. If you're done writing everything you want to write, so rather than like we waste time later. Yes, Delegate Benedita.
Point of personal privilege.
Yep, sure.
I have physical discomfort. I need to put on something for a sec.
Okay, sure, no problem.
The delegate of the USA has read point number 8 regarding the United States actually disagrees, agrees, but also has a problem with the suggestion as the money that is used for those from the citizens who pay for the health needs and supplies are provided to the government to give to the hospitals to help the coronavirus disease, and also used on the research of making the vaccine. Therefore, if the United States makes expenses like health needs and supplies cheaper, there will be a harder time for the future to finish a vaccine. Since Russia is not a part of this meeting.
But also won't it like affect the businesses who are making the mask, like they will also lose money thus not being able to make the masks.
Maybe the government can give extra like money or something to them.
The United States government has already provided hundreds of millions of dollars to the hospitals and the businessmen for the making of masks, but also request for the citizens to make clothed masks around, so they can basically use a handkerchief and wrap it over their head and go around.
So should there be should they provide masks, like cloth masks or like those surgical masks?
The United States believes that it's better to provide clothed masks as surgery masks are needed in the hospitals. Hospitals are currently also lagging in those surgical masks for their COVID-19 cases. Therefore, the United States has already suggested to use a clothed mask for its citizens. Therefore, do other countries have any suggestions on the mask?
Nigeria would like to suggest that maybe we can reach out to the billionaires, millionaires, private sectors, owner of businesses to support those in need to make masks and
How about like donations,
yeah, like donations. So at least there's
donations from the people who are higher up.
yeah, like billionaires, private sectors, and more.
Currently, the United States in this meeting. The United States has the most money and those resources, but also take into account that the United States is the country that has the most coronavirus disease. Therefore, having a hard time providing these resources, and cannot guarantee that every country will receive them, as the more the United States reach out, the more infected they get. Therefore, the United States like to ask the other countries to ask their other allies or suggest any allies that can help.
Okay, guys. just so that it doesn't drag too long, you guys have had really good debate, and your current working paper now is pretty good. So I think I think we should just vote on the resolution right now, on the current resolution. So this is going to be the resolution that is going to be put up, and the chair would later ask countries who would like to agree with this resolution, please raise your hand, and countries who do not agree with this resolution, please raise your hand. Our delegates, are you all right with that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, delegates who agree with this current working paper, please raise your hands. Just as information, the committee needs a majority to pass this resolution. So currently we have four members of the committee, so we need a majority to pass. Okay, so there are 3 who voted yes. Delegates who oppose this motion, please raise your placard. Please raise your hands. Okay. So this motion passes and this resolution passes. Congratulations, delegates. We have come to the end of the MUN meeting. So yeah, you guys did a great job. You learned how to debate and come up with a working paper.
Oh,
so yeah.
Yeah. I would like to congratulate each and every one of you. Participating in the MUN for the first time is really nerve-wracking. Yeah, I remember my first time joining the MUN also. It was not smooth. Things didn't go as I planned. I was stuttering the entire time and I couldn't get my points across. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of each and every one of you who decided to join the MUN and stick with it and did your research and participated. All of this counts, and all of this will eventually help you in the long term. Yeah, don't I sound a bit old? I don't sound a bit old, but yeah, this will be helping with your university applications. Yeah, I know you guys are like Sec 1, Sec 2 right now, so like life is pretty chill. But yeah, joining these kind of events will like really help you in the future, like when you go to university or when you go to jobs, because it's helping you with all the skills you need in real life. Yeah, but I just want to tell you guys that you guys did an amazing job. I want to sincerely congratulate all of you. Yeah, like I said, participating the first time is always tough. Yeah, but as you go forward, you'll find that it's actually, I wouldn't say easy, but it'll be fun. Yeah, you will know what to do already. You know all the points, how to raise motions. It'll be a lot more fun for you in the next time when like the school holds another MUN. But yeah, I just want to congratulate you guys. Yeah. Thanks. It is absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine.
Can I just join in? I've been going in and out of the others, both committees all afternoon, and must say you guys really have outdone yourselves. Like everything that Gervin has said, you guys have done well. You've done the work. You've presented well. I saw Mr. Ryan make a comment, said how well spoken everybody is and how well organized your thoughts are. So, you know, that's excellent, especially when it's been, you know, online. We haven't been able to really help you as much as we could have. But I'll tell you what, you're going in like, you know, if you ever go to one like outside of the school, you know, you're going to be well prepared. You know exactly what's going on, because these 2 guys, Isabella and Gervin, have done a fantastic job, actually. Really excellent job. I think we should give them a clap too, yeah? Well done for managing it all. Outstanding. All right, okay.
If you guys have further questions, we can adjourn the meeting right now. Do you have any further questions? Any of the delegates? Or any of you guys? Sit. Questions? No? I just wanted to point out that me and Isabella was like really impressed, because like at the middle of the meeting where we started giving you guys more clues about like what's the country's like perspective and like what you should be actually doing. You guys picked up on that really, really quickly, although we didn't like explicitly said that. You understood that each of your countries had different opinions, and like being in the WHO committee, you wanted your opinion to be the one that is to be the one in the resolution. Yeah, we're really glad that you guys picked it out really quickly. And if you would like to like rewatch the recording, like you'll realize that at first the debate was a bit stagnant, it was a bit slow. But as we gave you more help, just like we should, because this is your first time, you guys picked up on it really, really quickly, and we were all very impressed and very happy. So you guys should like be very happy and impressed with yourself. Okay. If you guys don't have further questions,
when we're in school, come and tell me who you are, because I'll forget about you now. Oh, I remember you now. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna go to the other one. Good luck. Well done.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.